We're back with another Pokemon.
A
Um,
short one this time.
yeah, I've got my own volume here because I have two volumes of the first one. Because you know why? Seki, you
Yeah.
want to show them?
So this is a misprint. And actually you can kind of see the book itself was printed on an angle. So this is it kind of like straight and flat, but as you can see, it's not flat down there. If I level it out, you can
No,
then see. So it's
but
every single page is printed on an angle, and it's sort of missing the top corner, and then it's got white in the bottom corners where it shouldn't.
it drives me crazy. Like I would like I wish I had never noticed because then I would never have cared. But then
But
I
it's
noticed like as I'm like that was odd and word bubbles are getting cut off here and there. If I had noticed, I'd never have bothered. But because I noticed, I needed to get myself a new copy because that was never going. I was always going to just drive me insane.
Yeah, it is actually pretty noticeable. Especially when you get to like stuff down here. There's the Pokédex data, and it's like letters are cut off on the end of like the information here. So yeah, it's definitely pretty noticeable. Especially because you can see the cut line on the upper corner. You can see the dotted cut line in the
Yeah.
print. Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but not the worst thing ever. It was perfectly fine to read. It doesn't actually cut off anything important. You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, that half a letter is an R. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, this is adapting the Heart Gold and Soul Silver arc or games here. And Seki, you've this is the game that you have the not traumatic memories of, but the
Frustrating.
yeah, that's the one.
PTSD. Something unpleasant, but not life-threatening, you know? Just frustration, irritation.
Did you want to tell your story?
Yeah, for like the fifth time, I can tell it. But like, so I didn't play any Pokemon games growing up, but I've played a couple Pokemon games now. And one time when I was helping Nick Knack move when I was in middle school, um, I got the opportunity to sit down with a DS and play. Did you have Heart Gold or Soul Silver?
Soul Silver, but we had another friend that had Heart Gold that
Okay.
that would lend it
So
to you
it
too.
was it was one of the two. And I played it through to a certain point and then I had to go home for the day, right? After helping you move. And then a little while later, right? I think I got to play it when I was at your place and I started playing and it was a different game obviously, so I new save file and I got to the exact same spot as I had the first time. And then I had to leave. And I didn't have a working DS at the time, so it wasn't like I could borrow the game and play it on my DS. Um, so twice now I have gotten to play this game up to a certain point and then never got further.
To the point where I'm almost ready to go stick an emulator on your computer so you can finally fulfill that childhood trauma of actually finishing that damn game.
It's genuinely upsetting. Like genuinely. I think about this fairly regularly.
That's just a funny little story regarding Seki and her history with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but that doesn't really factor too much into the series because of the stuff that
No.
she played through was all remakes of the original Gold and Silver stuff, and
Yeah.
that stuff was already covered when we did the Gold and Silver arc.
Yeah. I will say I did try to I've also considered buying myself a copy now that I have a working DS, but copies of Heart Gold and Soul Silver are
Infamously expensive.
very expensive. And the thing is, I have trauma, yes, but I don't have $80 worth of trauma. I don't have $120 worth of trauma. I have cheap trauma.
Look, I'm not. We on the channel do not advocate piracy and trips to Tortuga, but there are, if you wanted to play it on the DS, there are cheaper alternatives that some resourceful people have discovered
Uh,
um through means that we don't need to get into.
yeah.
I could show you if you wanted to, but I wouldn't endorse it. I wouldn't endorse it.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
mm, uh, but what this arc is actually adapting for people who have played the games is it's adapting a plot points and characters that were introduced in the remake that weren't in the original. So like the rocket commanders are here.
Hmm.
You get new character designs based off of Gold's largely unchanged, but Crystal or Lyra in the games is
Hmm.
a completely different character design. Uh,
Yeah.
you get that stuff, and more specifically, like this is particularly what the manga is adapting. Is it's adapting the Shinjo Ruins event of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which was a limited time event you could play if you received an Arceus and a mystery gift to tie in with the movie.
Yeah.
It's a pretty like a lot of old Gen 4 fans like myself do have fond memories of that event, but it's a lot simpler than this story is because it doesn't involve Team Rocket. You literally just get the Arceus, take it to some ruins, and it teleports you to another set of ruins called the Shinjo ruins, which are normally completely inaccessible. Then you get to pick between a free Dialga, Palkia, or Giratina that gets created at level one, brand new for you. Um, and then you teleport back. It's not
Yeah.
that complex. It's got a funny little cutscene that's like actual real life images of space and cities flashing through, but that's kind of what the original event was. And this expands upon that as much as it really can. Um, it brings Team Rocket in and involves them into being the ones that are trying to capture Arceus or Arceus or Arceus, whatever the current canon pronunciation of it is now.
Yeah.
Um, and it's it's our shortest arc by far. It is.
Hmm.
But also it does suffer from the Pokemon Adventures mid arc. It's all just one long fight scene problems.
Okay. That makes sense. I want to say there's something else. I'm trying to find it, but I think there's something else that I've seen that's related to this, but like not directly related per se. Give me like a second to go through a
You might
second
have seen the
of.
movie that the event this was supposed to tie into, because that would have
I've
been aired while like around the time you would have been.
I've only seen two Pokemon movies ever, and they were
Hmm.
Zekrom and Reshiram. Unfortunately, like those are the only two that I've seen. Okay. I can't figure out what it was that I think I've seen something about Arceus separately.
Yep, I think I know what you've seen. So do you? I don't know how well this art conveyed it, but do you understand the gist of Arceus?
Um, kinda, but not really.
Arceus is Pokemon God, like capital G God,
Yeah.
like creator of the universe and all things. And that's
Okay.
kind of why I'm a little disappointed by this arc. Because Arceus really does in this arc just come off as Monster of the Week with unspecified ties to Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina.
Yeah, I was gonna say the name rang a bell, and I thought I'd seen something about it separately, but I couldn't figure out what it was, and I was like, oh, so he's really big and powerful, but like. I at least for me, I don't think it was super well communicated that he's like God, like the God from the Pokemon Bible.
Yeah. Literally though, like there is a
He feels like a God in this arc, not the God,
yeah, like there
if that
there
makes sense.
the you probably have heard Arceus' name brought up twice.
Hmm.
You probably heard me mention Legends Arceus, which is the Isekai Pokemon game.
Okay.
And then you've probably heard of the meme, and this is where I think you remember it from. The meme, which is the first Pokemon, Rhydon, Bulbasaur, Mew, or Arceus.
I've actually never heard of that meme.
You've shared it with me before just to be funny. You probably just shared a random Pokemon meme you
I
found
think
online.
yeah. Yeah.
But that's like the only other place where I feel like you would have really registered Arceus or those two areas, unless you saw the movie on Cartoon Network or Disney XD without thinking about it.
Yeah, I know for a fact I didn't see the movie because I canonically Seki has only ever seen two Pokemon movies. Well, and Detective Pikachu, but that doesn't count. Um, I do like the little monkey dude,
Monkey dude, monkey dude.
the Pokemon that kind of looks like a monkey.
There are plenty of those. Oh, Apom. Apom.
Yeah, he's adorable.
I love Apom. Apom's got some fun history. He was like one of the first Gen. Oh no, he was a Gen 2 Pokemon. He was a Gen 2 Pokemon. He's been around for a while. Yeah, never mind. I was like, he's a Gen 4 Pokemon. No, he's Gen 2.
He's fun.
Mm-hmm. This
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
I thought there was a pretty dynamic cast of Pokemon here. And I very much enjoyed that. It felt reminiscent of like one of the earlier arcs, just having like so many Pokemon all coming together in the end. Not for a Coliseum battle match, but for like an epic final fight per se, you know? And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I've said before is that, like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but at least this series is managing to maintain some level of switching up what happens from arc to arc. It's not repeating exactly the same arcs in the same order.
They're trying to give it some variance, even if it means like doing some pretty wild portrayals of the characters. Like I remember Diamond and Pearl, I was caught off guard by the fact that our two original leads were comedians.
Yeah,
And that's obviously not a thing in the games, but that's also to vary up the leads from so like it's not just red again with a different design.
exactly. And I appreciated that. I thought it was great. So it was nice to go back to an arc where the final fight was not like a big tournament battle, but it was like actually a battle, you know?
Yeah, I think the only issue I have is it feels like we just wrote a climax. Like the
Ye-
characters by the start of the story are already going to where they need to go, like they had learned information off screen.
Yeah, it is very short.
And the entire thing is so this is kind of a plot twist that I was a little confused about at the end, but it was heavily it was like there's a final panel and then suddenly you see the main character like one of the main character Dia's mother just randomly from Diamond and Pearl at the very last panel of the manga. Like, why is this in this arc? She had nothing to do with this story, and these characters made no appearance. It's because the
Yeah.
implication is supposed to be that this arc is a prequel to Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, which is where like
Um,
it's saying that the not that Arceus created a new Dialga Palkia and Giratina, but that these Pokemon stopped existing in the modern world. And the only reason they were been able to be in the Diamond and Pearl arc is because Arceus re or either recreated them or brought them back uh, at the Shinjo
Interesting.
ruins. But I don't know. It also leaves the entire thing feeling a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's a little funky.
And there's a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina with some of the like, oh look, Giovanni is back.
Yeah. When is there not a Deus Ex Machina though?
It's better than Deus Ex Celebi from the Ruby Sapphire arc.
Yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, I think I like the ending of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I do think I wish that it had been a longer arc, a little bit more development, like some more of the backstory and the not even like I don't even want it done as backstory, but I wanted to start earlier in their adventure. Is I think my main complaint with this set of books.
Yeah, I think the sweeter spot they could have tried to hit, or that they probably should have tried to hit, was something a little closer to Leaf Green and Fire Red,
Hmm.
where it was I wasn't that positive on Leaf Green or Fire Red either, but at the very least, like you get introduced to the conflict and the characters are all like spending time pursuing the goal as opposed to you literally start at the final battle and then you start seeing the characters traveling there after receiving information separately.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's the problem I had, and so it's not really something they could fix without just straight up adding more story, you know?
I kind of get why they didn't though, because from my understanding, this is the point. Like it was the Ruby Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald arcs were literally all being written and drawn simultaneously at one point,
Oh, interesting.
and it caused the author and artist to be completely overloaded to the point where like they've had to slow down. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver is the last of these like little. I know there's one more, but they don't they're a lot more restrained now with their we're going to adapt these remakes or side games into manga arcs as well. And I kind of feel like Heart Gold and Soul Silver is a little bit of a casualty of that, where they wanted to get an arc in, for technicality's sake, but they couldn't develop it as much as the other arcs because they needed to move on in quickly.
Okay. That makes sense.
And I'll say
Regrettably, that makes sense.
maybe it's for the better because I've actually read the next arc we're going to read, and I'm not going to spoil anything in it, but it is pretty widely regarded as one of, if not the best arcs of this manga.
What is the next arc? What's
Black
it
and
called?
White.
Okay. Black and White, that's the one I probably caught a couple episodes of.
That's the anime you watched. Yes, that's Reshiram and
Yeah.
Zekrom.
Okay, then yes. All right. I'm very interested in Black and White because I don't remember much about the Reshiram and Zekrom movies. I have very vivid memories of having watched both of them, but I remember very little about them, like overall, if that makes sense. It was just so long ago.
It's funny the dichotomy because Black and White are like one of the worst performing Pokemon games, but fans that love it, like the fans that actually played it at the time, or like it's beloved to them.
Yeah.
The anime was considered the worst season of the anime.
Well, and how are the movies received?
Mediocre. And like that's where I fell off the movies, to be honest. I thought Reshiram and
Okay.
Zekrom was okay, but the ones that came after it, I just could not get invested in.
Okay.
And I've a lot of people really hate some of the last ones. It's Black and White is a controversial and like not even like capital C controversial. I don't know. I can go over the history of that when we do Black and White eventually because I'm sure I'll want to give a brief history of the games and the other material around it. But
Yeah.
that's definitely it's fascinating. Like it's fascinating. But yeah,
Okay. All
that's
right.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver though. It's it's inoffensive, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. It just could be better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like my genuine thought on it. Is that it's not bad, but it could be better with just a little bit of effort. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have on this. I don't know what the fuck is next. We're back
Neither do I,
to this spiel.
but it's gonna be great, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been pretty bad. We've already yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.